Shalom, shalom, shalom. Real quick video. I'm seeing that Hamas is reneging on the agreement between little Satan, big Satan, and themselves. And, the more I think about this thing, I don't think these guys are just nutting the hell out. I don't think they're just nutting out. I think that that there are things happening behind the scene that we don't know about. That's what I believe. I believe that this man Esau and Europeans in general, they have a long history of not keeping their promises. And I personally believe that uh that a lot of negatives and a lot of evils are coming to pass on behalf of the so-called Zionists, so-called small hats or JEW people, as well as Trump in America. I believe that these people have a history of lying and portraying themselves as fair and just and democratic. But in a lot of cases, it's always been land grabs in the mix of their treaties and agreements. It's always been a greed and lust for the natural resources in various lands historically. It's always been a grab of gold. You remember the gold rush all throughout the U.S., gold rushes and diamond rushes all throughout Africa. Just pure evil to get what you want. I believe that a lot of these situations are based on that alone. Well, not just that alone, but just greed. And I believe that the people like Hamas and Palestinians and just people in the East alone, I don't believe that they're just absolute nut fanatics that strung out on the teachings or misunderstanding of the Quran. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I believe that these people are being oppressed. I believe that their children are being murdered. I believe the reason why they flipped out some time ago, whatever date that was, October 6th, I don't know what it was, when they involved themselves in those mass killings. I don't believe that they just crazy and nutting out. Now, biblically, within scripture, I'm not going to go to the actual scripture because I want to make this quick. The Bible warns us against the wicked and how they operate and what to look out for. The Bible warns us of those things. That's right. A bunch of liars and devils, man. That's right. I believe that Americans are so gullible and so stupid and not inclined to study the history and the historical track patterns of Europeans. Or if they do, they just so proud they don't want to really look into what the hell is really going on and how these people really operate. And history repeats itself. And these are people that have not changed. They have not changed. I'm not trying to be racial or racist. These people have not changed their conduct on this earth. Again, I bring it up every once in a while. This is why these people are labeled or called the great Satan, and Israel's called the little Satan. They're saying that the Epstein files, now they're saying that a lot of the people that's on those files, there was a chance they were being blackmailed, and a lot of the blackmailing comes from Israel. That's what they're saying. I'm not saying it's 100% fact because I don't want any more strikes against me. I'm just saying what's floating around on YouTube is that you have to be mindful that blackmail was involved. Same thing with the P. Diddy case. Blackmail is involved in a lot of these cases. We got to keep that in mind. But anyway, check this out. In the Bible, this scholar, he breaks down what the scriptures actually talking about, which we know already. It says the verse is from the Bible, specifically Psalms 55, verse 21, which reads, his words were smoother than oil. So this is a smooth talking man that can charm his way into your lands, into your banks, into your politics, into your judicial system. This is what they do. The Rothschild family said, you let me control any country's bank and I will control that country. And that's exactly what's happening. I heard, I could be wrong, that Gaddafi didn't have a banking institution that was connected with America and the UK. That's what I heard. I could be wrong. I'm going to look that up in a little while. But they want to get power over you. They want you to be in debt to them. They want you to be stuck in a drug addict to their drugs and their pharmaceutical companies. They want you to eat their bad food. They want you to be Americans, but / not Americans. They want you to be a slave to the system. I'm talking about the Arab world, the African world, the Chinese and Japanese world. This is what they want. Why do you think that Chinese and even Japanese are wearing the white man's business suits now? Why aren't they wearing the garments that their ancient forefathers wore? Because it's very simple. The scripture says in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And the wicked, they call the shots. This is why everybody wants to be like an American white man and white woman, because they have the power. There's nothing racist about that. It's a common fact. And it's in your face. But at the same time, what means of power or influence or political structure did they use to get the lands that they occupy, such as Australia? What happened to the Aborigines in Australia, the dark people? How did this man get the land from the Aborigines in Australia? What about South Africa? It's a little different now, but in the 70s and the 80s and the 60s, how did this man get power to dominate and take control of South Africa? Same thing with the Caribbean. Same thing with the Central and South America. The influence of this man is all over the world. Same thing with Iraq. And remember the weapons of mass destruction? Remember that? Was there any weapons of mass destruction, or was it an oil grab or a land grab? I listened to a video today, or the news or something. I was just on my way to the gym, and Donald Trump was saying that he was in favor of taking the oil. He said, we're the only country that smashes countries and don't take. But that's a lie. I don't believe that. But he made a very profound statement. He said he was in favor of taking the oil. Why didn't they take the oil? Then they started talking about the Gaza Strip, how they want to build properties on the Gaza Strip. Then he tried to clean it up and say, well, we want to have the Gazian people living on the land when it's rebuilt. It's already destroyed. Only thing you could do is just rebuild on it. But you see the greed? You see the greed, right? There's just pure greed in these people. And the Lord describes them as the people, that's how I'm going to rephrase it so that I don't get a strike. The people we got to watch out for. All right? I'm going to take it easy today. It says this verse is from the Bible, specifically Psalms 55, verse 21, which reads, his words were smoother than oil, yet they were drawn swords. So there's violent tendencies in this man. Everybody's capable of living by the sword or following some form or level of evil, but not like the Europeans. Not like the Europeans. No one has a thirst and a desire to take, murder, kill, sexually violate, lie, cheat. No one has the spirit or the desires that they can't control, or the lust, the blood lust and the evil lust to do the things they do. No one on this planet can compare to these people historically. Look it up. Look it up. The weak ones try to come and say, well, if your people were in power, they would do the same thing. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. No man in the history of this country has done the feats of evil that these people have done historically throughout the world. Notice how I keep throwing in that word historically so I don't get a strike. So people don't think it's racism. So people don't think it's just pure hate that's coming from me. I'm saying historically wise, nobody has done the evil that this man has done. He is a liar and the father of it and a murderer from the beginning. This verse is often paired with the preceding line. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. The verse describes a hypocritical person. The verse describes a hypocritical person who uses pleasant words, to hide malicious intent. Malicious means a spirit to hurt, maim, and even kill. But he uses these words to hide his wicked intent. The same thing with the North American Indians. He made many treaties with them, many treaties with them, and did not keep the majority of these treaties. Did not revise the unjust treaties he put on the North American Indians or laid out for them that agreement. In other words, he made agreements with the North American Indians, unfair ones in certain cases, or they broke the treaties and they never revised it. They just let it ride. And I believe that that's what's happening in Palestine. I believe that this is what's happening over there in the Gaza Strip. I believe this is what's happening all over the world. This man does not keep his promises. Doesn't keep his promises. Doesn't do that. Check this out. Let's move on. I'm going to go back to that in a little while. It says the United States broke a significant number of treaties with North American Indians, with Source citing approximately 370 treaties ratified between 1778 and 1871, and an additional 45 were negotiated but never ratified, meaning never corrected or brought up to the point that they were dealing fairly. This is in America, the North American Indians. So why would I believe, why would I trust, why would I conceive that this man is dealing fairly with the Gazians, if you want to call them that, the Palestinians, if you want to call them that, the so-called Arabs on the Gaza Strip? They want me to believe that these people are Islamic radical nut jobs running amok. I don't think it's like that. I think they have certain negatives in them and certain evils in them, and they wild. The scriptures does prophesy that Ishmael would be a wild man. Does prophesy that. But I don't think it stops there. I believe that a lot of evil is being done to these people. That's what I believe. And I believe that these people do not keep their promises, and they make promises and they break those promises, and they hide it, and the world just thinks that the people on the Gaza Strip, the people that's in the Middle East, are total nut jobs. That's what I believe. I don't believe nothing this man says unless it's absolutely factual. It says most, if not all, of these treaties were broken. Most, if not all, of these treaties by the Europeans, the white man, whether he was the French taking over parts of America at one point, taking over parts of Haiti and parts of Africa, whether it was the UK or the British taking over parts of Africa, carving it up with the French, with the Germans, whether you want to go all the way back to Alexander the Great, whether you want to come forward to the Romans, this man does not keep his promises and cannot be trusted. Cannot be trusted. It's not no hate. I'm just saying this is something we need to look into or consider. Maybe the people are not as crazy as they're trying to make them out to be. Maybe that's the case. Most, if not all, these treaties were broken to one extent or another through corruption. The treaties were broken, corruption from the white rulers at that time and current, lack of enforcement from the same white man who laid out these treaties and made these agreements. Remember, the scripture said that his words were smoother than oil. So they can have a treaty where the Indians will have a certain land, and that land would have, let's say it's a square of 1,000 miles. And the white man would be outside of that boundary of 1,000 miles all around. And let's say hypothetically, the white man thinks there's gold on that land. Let's say he thinks there's oil on that land. He would break the treaty, go into the North American Indians' lands, and make up some BS why he's in that land. This man is a liar. And they show it to us time and time in different movies like Geronimo and Red Cloud and different variations or remakes of Custer's Last Stance in the War on the Little Bighorn, whatever it's called. They do it all the time. They show us movies all the time on how unjust and how beastly this man is. But they will put in your mind that the North American Indians, they're animals. They will put in your mind that the so-called black man and the Arabs are animals. But who's the real animal? Who's the real thief? Most, if not all, these treaties were broken to one extent or another through corruption, lack of enforcement, or direct violation to take the native land according to quora use. This is meaning people's opinion. Just blatantly would break the treaty. So how do we know? How do we know the same thing is not happening in the Gaza Strip? How do we know that? 370 plus ratified treaties. The U.S. ratified 370 treaties with Indians, tribes between 1778 and 1871. Let me see what this one says. I'm curious about this. Let me see what this says. In a treaty negotiated by William Henry Harrison, the governor of the Indiana Territory, with native tribes, including the Delaware, Potawatomi, Miami, and El River tribes, the United States acquired 2.5 million acres of land in what is now Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio for the equivalent of about 2 cents per acre. 2 cents. His words were smoother than oil. His words were smoother than oil, yet swords were in his heart. Again, we'll go right here to this paragraph. It says about Psalms 55. It says, meaning the line is a metaphor of betrayal, a metaphor for betrayal and deception. It highlights that even through someone's words may sound smoothing and sincere, their heart can be filled with hostility and deceit. You see that? Nothing personal. Nothing personal at all. It's just the truth. It's just history. And it's just spirituality as far as how to deal with someone outside of your race that has a history of taking what is not theirs and continually do it. They're still doing it today. They're still doing it today. It has not changed. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. You understand? Nothing has changed. So I think a lot of these things are just straight up money grabs. That's what I think. I think they're straight up money grabs. Check it out now. So let's go here.
Important for your viewers to know that this is, as you said, an absolute clear-cut, blatant breaching of the ceasefire arrangement at a very delicate time. We've got Vice President J.D. Vance scheduled to arrive in the area to make sure that the second phase of this deal actually goes through. So there is the international relations, diplomatic aspect of this, as well as the military aspect that the Prime Minister and his team are having to conjure with. And it's also important to know that the Israel Defense Forces withdrew, as agreed, under the agreement that was brokered by President Trump and his team, to what is referred to as the yellow line. It's not.
So can you really trust these people? You got NATO to a degree involved in this. You got Americans involved in this. You got quite a few people involved in this, but can you really trust these people? Same thing with Venezuela. Same thing with Venezuela. I think that they've been moving drugs for so long with Venezuela that they're going to keep trying to sneak boats into the country to make money. I think this thing goes back decades as far as the drugs is concerned. Same thing with Panama strongman Noriega, who worked for the CIA and was dealing with America and was moving drugs. You know, understand what I'm saying? So this is not a big secret. This has been going on for years. It's just that when the white man or the powers that be get you in their claws, you can't get out unless you die. You can't get out unless you die. Look at this. It says, real quick. I know I'm jumping around a lot. Oh man, what happened there? Let me see if I can go back here. I remember when they bagged Noriega up. Bagged his ass up, man. Says Manuel. Is it showing? Let me see. Yeah, it's showing. Says Manuel Noriega was a longtime asset for the CIA before his relationship with the U.S. government before his relationship with the U.S. government deteriorated in the late 80s, 1980s. Same thing with what's this guy they accused of blowing up the World Trade Center? Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, same thing. Now they're saying that the CIA is going to be in Venezuela to watch them. They're going to put the CIA in Venezuela to keep an eye on them like they're the only force of evil. America is not involved in the evil in the drug trade. The U.S. ultimately invaded Panama in 1989 to dispose of him. You know why? He probably didn't follow the druggy rules. He probably didn't like a deal based on greed from America. I guarantee you it's something like that. I can almost guarantee you that. The U.S. ultimately invaded Panama in 1989 to dispose of him. Now what are they talking about as far as Venezuela? They're talking about invading Venezuela. That's what they're talking about. And this is leading to his capture and conviction on drug charges in American courts. In American court. Ain't this some BS? Ain't this a bunch of BS? On drug charges in an American court. A bunch of just pure BS. BS. Early assets. Noriega connected with the U.S. intelligence agency began as early as the 1950s when he was a student at a military academy in Peru. Paid informant. He was officially put on the CIA's payroll in 1970 and served as an intelligence source on leftist movement in Latin America throughout the 1970s and 80s. The U.S. saw him as a key anti-communist ally during the Cold War, but he was moving drugs. They say he was moving drugs. I'm not going to say he was. Allegedly, he was moving drugs, they say. And even if he wasn't, there's so much corruption in the drug world, these guys get so comfortable. They get so comfortable that they don't want to stop. They don't want to stop. They want to keep the gravy train growing and going. This thing is real. It's about money. It's always had to be about money. It's money. And it's going to be money and greed and murder. That's the way it works. So the whole thing in Israel, I don't believe what they're saying. I don't believe that at all. This man is Shaitan, man. Shaitan, the physical arm of Shaitan on this earth.
Not actually the yellow line. There have been some adjustments, but that is where we are. And Hamas operatives crossed that line in the area of Jabalia, in addition to what they attempted in Rafah. That shows that there is no honor among this terrorist organization known as Hamas.
There's no honor. You hear this, man? Do you hear this? After all we read, this guy has the nerve to say there is no honor. Unbelievable, man. And a lot of you eat this garbage up. You eat this garbage up.
That line in the area of Jabalia, in addition to what they attempted in Rafah, that shows that there is no honor among this terrorist organization known as Hamas. They breached the ceasefire.
Yeah, and Benjamin, we were just showing our viewers that yellow line you're talking about. This is the yellow line that the IDF agreed to withdraw to. The Rafah area is down there in the southern part of Gaza. And what the IDF is saying is that anti-tank missiles and gunfire were shot at IDF troops across that line, which is why the IDF says it's a clear violation. My question to you, Benjamin, is, are you surprised that they violate this ceasefire?
No, I'm not surprised at all, and I doubt that your viewers are surprised. I was walking around the streets here in Israel when the hostages were returned to as the living hostages. And one might have expected that there would have been celebration and ebullience and happiness. And there was that with regard to the return of the hostages, but yet there was a skepticism, a lack of optimism, and dare I say it, a pervasive uncertainty, because we know that this terror organization has sinister motives at the core of everything it does. And just to clarify this, think about who it is that we have fought to bring home. It's our innocent hostages, our men, women, children, infants, even Holocaust survivors, even our soldiers who were...
See, even that's bull crap. Because, you know, they were placed in that land. The real Jews are the so-called blacks and Hispanics, which you know, and natives. And God punished us and kicked us out of the land. And when they weren't even in the land, according to the numbers that they're at now, you know, they were placed in that land. A lot of the Arabs, so-called Arabs, they occupied a lot of that land, and they were kicked out. Because these people claim to be the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that's just not true. That I can say online. They are not the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And, you know, meanwhile, we sit on the sidelines in ignorance thinking we're Africans. You know, we're not Africans. We are nothing close to no damn Africans. But in our minds, we want to be the Africans, and it's just a lie. And what America has done, it has perverted our minds. But you know, just like Zelensky said, your day is coming, America. You said they could look at the ocean and it's beautiful, but death is coming, you know, across that ocean, and it's long overdue. America has done so much evil; it's long overdue. Then you have these people calling themselves chosen people of God, but look how they operate. Why would the chosen people of God operate and do the things they do? Steal land, but they claim to be the children of God. Invest in companies that brutalize and make slaves of Africans and people all over the world for diamonds and minerals and the good things that come from certain lands, and just money, land grabs all over the world. Why or how can you be the children of God and you're doing these evils? Doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't make sense if you know the scriptures. You know who the wicked is and who the Bible's talking about when it talks about Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. We know these things. They're not going anywhere. It's all in the hands of the Most High. It's all in the hands of the Most High. So I don't believe these people are the children of the Most High. These people are children of Shaitan. Then you got the situation in Venezuela. Let me show you this real quick. I'm not going to be long.
Another lethal blow against suspected drug traffickers. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says the United States has conducted another strike in the Caribbean. Hello and welcome to a second hour of Fox News Live. I'm Rich Edson. This is the seventh and latest in a series of drone strikes aimed at boats carrying suspected drugs headed for the United States mainland. Democrats and Republicans have voiced concerns about the administration.
I believe they're trying to say they're fishing boats. I don't believe that. I believe they're trying to move drugs. I believe the drug business is so lucrative, it's so profitable that they can't stop because their country and their systems depend on drugs and oil. And I believe the politicians and the leadership, not just in Venezuela but also Mexico, is so corrupt. It's so corrupt that it cannot be fixed. Same thing with America. They're trying to convince you that America could be great. They're trying to convince you that America could be clean and upright. America can't be that. A place can get so corrupt that you cannot clean it up. The only way you can clean it up is to behead and put people in jail and put them down and then start a whole new setup. And even that's going to get corrupt because it's not functioning off of the spirit of Christ and the Most High. So they can't clean this up. It's a blatant lie. It's a blatant lie. So I personally believe that the drugs have always moved back and forth. It's just now things are different and the money is going into different pockets. And the fact that the money is going into different pockets, you got people of power who don't like that. They don't like the fact that money is going into different people's pockets. They want to go back to how it used to be. But they have stolen so much, the system is broken. Even in the wicked world, with the money grabbers and the land grabbers and the crooked politicians, even that's starting to fall apart. Because America is an extension of Rome, and Rome became so corrupt. It became so large and so corrupt that it crashed and burned. But in the book of Daniel, it prophesies about the fourth beast shall be destroyed without hands. America is an extension of that fourth beast, which is Rome. So I don't think this is going to go away so easy. I just honestly don't see that.
Administration's aggressive tactics in international waters. Friday, President Trump was asked if Maduro was ready to talk.
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to around with the United States.
You see that? He don't want to F around with the United States. You know, he bombed the hell out of them like Wednesday, Thursday. They shot 3 rockets at a U.S. naval patrol boat. And the boat shot down 2 of the missiles before they can come to the boat. But one got through and injured over 20-something men out there in the Caribbean. Some hours later, 2 B-52s who were escorted by, some type of jets, flew and started dropping bombs. First, they knocked out their radar so they couldn't be detected and dropped a hell of a lot of bombs on them in strategic places and positions. And Venezuela was in darkness for a while. People were running in the streets afraid. You are not going to destroy this beast unless the Most High sanctions it. I don't care if you're longing for the kingdom of heaven. I don't care if you're longing for the fall of the devil or Esau or the white man or the so-called J people. It will happen in its time. This will fall in its time. Right now, our job is to teach our people and get ourselves cleaner than we were yesterday, cleaner than we were last week, cleaner than we were last month, cleaner than we were last year. That's our job right now because we got a hell of a lot of work to do. Proof of that is the Lord said the harvest is plentiful, but the what? The laborers are few. Trump and the Edomites, they are doing their jobs. We just got to do our job. But they're doing what they will have been prophesied to do, and they're fulfilling prophecy. You heard them. So not only did Trump flex his muscles on the people of Venezuela, but he flexed his muscle on the people of Iran. Now we're going to see what's going to happen with the Gazians. Oh, I keep saying Gazians. I guess you could call them Gazians. But let's see what's going to happen with the people on the Gaza Strip. I bet you he's going to kick ass there too. This is the beast. This is the beast. At one time, Rome was the beast, or the Greeks were the beast. They had their moment, and their moment ended. But it was well respected by the people they put their boots on. And today, it's the same way. They will fall in their time. Anyone who's attached to the beast, or anyone who's attached to these people, like the chase row in Isaiah, shall be cut off and destroyed. Because he's going to be like the chase row that no one picks up. He's going to be like gold that no one wants to touch. He's going to be like silver or valuables that no one is going to want to associate with, because the gold and the silver and what's natural, what's worth its weight in finances and gold is not going to be worth the chase or the possession, because the Lord is going to show that this man is on his way out.
Offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to around with the United States.
There you go. Lucas Thomas is live to West Palm Beach, where the president is spending the weekend at his Mar-a-Lago golf estate before heading back to the White House this evening.
Yeah, you're going to go back to, now you're going to see, we're going to see what happens in Gaza, man. We're going to see what happens on the Gaza Strip, because that's going to be very interesting. He's going to tear their asses up. Excuse my language, but he's going to tear crap up, man. And that's the truth of it. Going to tear it up. And nobody going to stop it but the Most High. So, drugs is a very, a lucrative business financially. It is, man, because there's a lot of money to be made in drugs. But bottom line is these people, they don't keep their promises. So I'm not surprised at the people in the Gaza Strip. I'm not surprised at it at all. It's nothing new. Check this out. It says, the history of the white rule, breaking promises span centuries and continents, featuring patterns of injustice in government policy, civil rights, land appropriation, and post-conflict resolution. It encompasses broken treaties. Remember we said that earlier? Broken treaties. See? It encompasses broken treaties with indigenous people in North America, Native American Indians, who I believe are Israelites. The reneging of Reconstruction era promise to newly freed African Americans. You remember that? The so-called Negroes were freed. But even though they were freed, it was like they never left the plantation. They were forced to work for pennies on the dollar. They got the worst land. They didn't get the 40 acres and a mule. They were still lynching them. They were still brutalizing them. They stopped them from voting when they tried to vote further down the line. Even though promises was made to them that they would be American citizens, just like the white man. And today it still exists. It's just a little bit different. It's called systematic racism. It still exists. It's called redlining, but they switched that around. In certain neighborhoods you can't get into. In certain areas, you will pay more for property than the white man. In certain cases. I believe in certain supermarkets, you pay more for groceries than in white neighborhoods. You get better deals in white neighborhoods than black neighborhoods. And I believe you get the worst foods in black neighborhoods. Check it out when you get a chance. Instead of going to the hood or ghetto ShopRite, go to the white man's ShopRite. Instead of going to hood or ghetto Walmart, go to the white man's Walmart. Check it out. A lot of the Walmarts are closing down because black people have become so savage because of slavery, so savage because they bred you like pit bulls, donkeys, and damn cows, and gave you the worst foods and the worst education. You become so savage, so beastly, that you don't even notice these things, man. You don't notice how this government hates you, but it's all prophecy. It's a battle between Jacob and Esau. Jacob being the father of the so-called black race, Hispanic race, as well as the North American Indian race, and Esau being the father of the so-called Germans, French, Spaniards, Spanish, Italians, Russians. These are the key players in the Bible. This is the final frontier of war. This is God's judgment that's transpiring all over the world. And the revelation of who this man is and what he has done for so many years is now coming out to the point where if you are following Kemet, you can't refute the fact that the Bible's coming to pass. If you're following Islam, you can't refute the fact that the Bible's coming to pass. If you're following Christianity, you can't refute the fact that the man who lives by the sword and who is dangerous and makes people suffer all over the world are the children of Esau, and that's in the Bible. You can't refute the fact that the Bible is coming to pass, and the black man and the Hispanic man and the Native man is God's chosen people. And the people on the Gaza Strip, they know our history better than some of us. They know how this man operates. So it's hard for me to believe that they're just nutting out and just killing just to do that because they read the Quran and they don't understand the Quran, or they fanatics, or they bend what's written in the Quran. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And I bet you if I started digging around, I could find that that's not true. And a lot of people don't like that. The white man don't like that. He don't like when I talk like this. But I'm not speaking racism. I'm speaking facts. That America has bent you over and made you less of a man, black man. When I see the black man, this is what I see. I don't see a man of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I see this. This is what I see. I don't see us as the great people we once were. When I see the black woman, I see this. They claim to believe in God and they pray to God, but they do this. They do this. So don't feel bad, though. Don't feel bad. All you got to do is change your ways. Come back to the Most High and change your ways, learn your history, and become righteous. But don't trust this man. Don't trust this man. It says the history of the white rule breaking promises spans centuries and continents, featuring patterns of injustice in government policy, people on the Gaza Strip, civil rights, the people on the Gaza Strip not getting that, land appropriations, Gaza Strip, North American Indians, Aborigines of Australia, South Africans, and post-conflict resolutions. It encompasses broken treaties with indigenous people in North America, the reneging of Reconstruction era promised to the newly freed African Americans. We remember that. And failures to address inequality after apartheid in South Africa. All these groups experienced treaties and agreements that were broken, that were ratified or had to be ratified. Just evil, evil, evil historically. The U.S. government used treaties as a tool to displace indigenous people, often negotiating agreements under duress, meaning putting hell on them and then making an agreement, or through deceit to facilitate westward expansion. In other words, it was land further west, and to get that land, they had to come up with lies to get those lands. To get those lands. So am I speaking racism or am I speaking facts? Am I just talking hate or am I talking facts? You be the person to decide. You check that out for yourself. But they will never, 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 never be peace in the Middle East, There will never be peace in America. America must be judged. America must burn. America must be judged, and America must burn, because America is Babylon. America is of the spirit of Satan and must be judged. Bottom line. I'm out.